So today we are going to start the subject of geography, and today we are going to discuss the topic universe and solar system. So in geography, first of all, we will discuss in brief what geography is, and then we will start with universe and solar system. In this entire module, we will be covering physical geography and human geography. In physical geography, we will be covering geomorphology, climatology, oceanography, and we'll also discuss Indian geography. And then we will discuss human geography, in which we will discuss in detail the national parks and wildlife sanctuaries, population and census, and all other related data, depending upon from where most of the questions have been asked to you in the previous serious papers. तो हम वो सभी डिस्कस करेंगे इसमें, और आपके जो भी क्वेश्चंस हैं वो आप चैट में मुझसे पूछ सकते हैं. So first of all, let's begin with an understanding of what geography is. So geography is derived from two words, geo and graphy. So geo means earth and graphy means study. So geography simply means the study of the earth. So in simple terms, geography means the study of the earth. So since it deals with the earth and a lot of science comes into it, so it is sometimes also considered as a field of science, and some experts may call it. So Eratosthenes coined this term, and he was a Greek scholar. There are two main branches of geography. First is the human geography, and second is the physical geography. So in physical geography, हम डिस्कस करते हैं सारी की सारी फिजिकल प्रॉब्लम्स. बेसिकली इसको हम चार पार्ट्स में डिवाइड कर सकते हैं. First is the lithosphere. Lithosphere deals with landforms or land. Second is the atmosphere. Atmosphere it deals with air. And hydrosphere, as the word itself suggests, hydro means water. So all the water on the earth. And biosphere, again, as the name suggests, bio means life. So biosphere deals with all the life that is there on planet Earth. So for the entire physical geography, it can be divided into these four portions: lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. So we'll be discussing all this in detail. Then there is human geography. And in human geography, the aspects of people's way of life, such as language, religion, economic activity, government, and art are discussed. And biosphere, again. So this was a brief about geography. Now let us start with the universe. So the study of universe is known as cosmology. So cosmos means all the outer bodies or outer space. So the study of that is known as cosmology. And the universe is a totality of everything that exists, including all the physical matter and energy, planets, stars, galaxies, and contents of intergalactic space. So all these are included in universe. So universe को basically जितना भी सारा physical matter है, including all the galaxies, planets, and stars, they are included in universe. And for the origin of universe, there are various theories, but the most acceptable theory is the Big Bang theory. So this theory was propounded by George Lemaitre. And according to him, the explosion of concentrated matter in the universe that occurred 13.7 billion years ago led to the origin of universe. So according to Mr. George L, concentrated matter जो था 13.7 billion years ago, it exploded and it led to the origin of the universe. And that led to a huge expansion and conversion of energy to matter. Now, since for that particular So is there any problem? Okay, I can increase the font size. Okay, so because of that explosion, now a lot of energy was used in that explosion, and that energy then converted into matter. So this is the theory. But thereafter, the expansion slowed down. And according to the theory, the universe is expanding even today. So there are various proofs for that. So Big Bang theory is considered to be the most acceptable theory as far as the origin of universe is concerned. So in universe, the biggest bodies that we see, or the biggest congregations that we see, are galaxies. So what are galaxies? Galaxies are huge congregation or collection of stars held together by forces of gravity. It is also called island universe. So this is an informal term. और there are millions of such galaxies, और जिस galaxy में हमारा solar system है, its name is the Milky Way galaxy, जिसको हम आकाश गंगा भी कह देते हैं, and it is spiral in shape. So spiral shape is something like that of a DNA helix structure. So it is spiral in shape and its name is the Milky Way galaxy. और हमारे जो सबसे nearest galaxy है Milky Way से, that is the Andromeda galaxy. So all these points that we are discussing, they are frequently asked in the multiple choice questions in these exams. So Milky Way is our galaxy and Andromeda is the nearest galaxy to Milky Way. And the largest known galaxy is the dwarf galaxy. So again, this is a key point. Then let us discuss what are stars. So जो stars हैं, ये बनते हैं from gravitational contraction from vast clouds of galactic gas and dust. So galactic gas और dust के concentration से, जब gas और dust जो है वो contract हो जाते हैं because of the force of gravity, they become stars and they produce their own light and heat, and hence they differ from planets. So the basic difference between planets and stars is that stars produce their own light and heat, but planets do not. So one of the prominent examples of stars is the sun. So sun is a star. It produces its own light and its own heat. Then when hydrogen in a star is converted into heavier atoms like helium by nuclear fusion. So here you can take the example of sun. So listen to all this while keeping sun in mind. So when hydrogen in a star is converted into heavier atoms like helium by nuclear fission, तो उससे उसकी density बढ़ जाती है, and the star is said to be approaching its death. And if the star is about the mass of the sun or less, it turns into a white dwarf and finally dies as a black dwarf. But if the star is bigger than the sun, but not more than twice as big, it turns into a neutron star or pulsar, and then it dies down. So there can be two situations. One, if the star is about the mass of the sun or less, तो अगर उस स्टार का जो मास है वो सन से कम है, तो वो पहले व्हाइट ड्वार्फ में कन्वर्ट होगा and finally it will die as a black dwarf. But if the sun is bigger than the sun, if the star is bigger than the sun but not more than twice as big, तो वो न्यूट्रॉन स्टार और पल्सर में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा and then it will die down. They are called so as they are made up of atomic particles called neutrons. इनको न्यूट्रॉन स्टार इसलिए बोला जाता है क्योंकि ये जिन एटॉमिक पार्टिकल से बने होते हैं उनको न्यूट्रॉन्स कहते हैं. And pulsars, what are pulsars? They are nothing but fast rotating neutron stars. So this is very important. What are pulsars? Pulsars are fast rotating neutron stars. So you have to remember the fine distinction between stars and planets. And then you have to remember the role of hydrogen in a star, how a planet or how a star dies down, and what is a neutron star, and what is a pulsar. So these are the important key points that you have to remember. Then there is a concept of black hole. ये काफी ज्यादा न्यूज में रहा पिछले 2-3 सालों से because of a experiment. So the stars having mass greater than 3 times that of sun have very high gravitational power, because of which even light cannot escape from its gravity, and hence it appears black. So black hole effect is where even the light cannot escape from the gravity of a star. So the gravity is so heavy, or the gravity is so high, that even the light cannot escape, and then it appears black. So that is what we call a black hole. Then what is a Doppler effect? Doppler effect होता है the movement of a star or galaxy, जिसकी वजह से उसकी लाइट जो है वो इफेक्ट होती है, और जब हम उसे ऑब्जर्व करते हैं तो उसको हम डॉपलर इफेक्ट कहते हैं. So Doppler effect is like a sprinkling effect. So if the source of star or light is moving away from the observer, the wavelength of the light is stretched out. उसकी wavelength जो है वो stretch out हो जाएगी, and the light is seen to move towards the red spectrum. This is called the redshift effect. So now we know that red is a color whose wavelength is the most. So it is known as a redshift effect. Similarly, जब light source moves away from the observer, then blue shift effect is observed, because its wavelength is the least and its frequency is the most. So these are the redshift effect and the blue shift effect. Then what is a light year? Simply the distance traveled by light in 1 year, moving at a speed of 3 billion or 300 million meters per second is the speed of light, and the distance traveled by light in 1 year is known as a light year. So hence it is equal to around 94.6 billion kilometers in 1 year. So that is known as a light year, simply the distance that light travels in 1 year. Then what is an astronomical unit, or also known as AU? So astronomical unit is the distance between the sun and the earth. तो ये एक स्टैंडर्ड डिस्टेंस है जिसके रेफरेंस में हम डिस्टेंसेस मेजर करते हैं सोलर सिस्टम में. So the distance between the sun and the earth is a 1 AU, and we measure the differences or distances in our solar system in reference to the astronomical unit. Then what is nova and supernova? Those stars whose brightness increases suddenly by 10 to 20 magnitudes or more, and then fades gradually into normal brightness. So in nova, it seems that their outer shell is exploding. Why it seems that their outer shell is exploding? Because of sudden increase in their brightness. Whereas in supernova, the entire star explodes. So when the brightness of a star increases instantly by 10 to 20 magnitudes or more, तो अगर हमें उसको देख के ऐसा लगता है कि उसका सिर्फ आउटर शेल एक्सप्लोड हुआ है, then it is known as a nova. But if the entire star is exploding, then it is known as a supernova. And nova are more frequent than supernova. So this is just a phenomenon. Then let us see what constellations are. So constellations, when the sky is divided into units to enable the astronomers to identify the position of stars. So since the sky is a vast expanse without any finite limits, so we have to divide the sky into units ताकि जो astronomers हैं वो stars की position identify कर सकें. So these units are what we call constellations. So normally ये जो constellations हैं ये किसी ना किसी legendary hero या legendary scientist या astronomer के नाम पे रखे जाते हैं. For example, Ursa Major is a constellation of 7 stars. जिसको हम हिंदी में सप्तऋषि भी कहते हैं. So this is just a constellation. So it is just a unit of the sky to establish the stars that are there in the sky. That is what we call a constellation. Then let's see what is a solar system. So so solar system is the sun and its companion celestial bodies. All those combined are known as solar system. It has sun, 8 planets, their satellites, planetoids, comets, and meteoroids, etc. All these combined are known as solar system. So the central and focal point of solar system is the sun. So let us see the features of the sun first. So it consists of 99% of the mass of the solar system. So of the total mass of the solar system, 99% mass सिर्फ और सिर्फ sun में ही है. It is the center of the solar system around which all the bodies revolve. And it is the nearest star to the earth. All other stars are farther than the sun. Its core temperature, so core is the innermost part of the sun. Its core temperature is around 15 million degrees Celsius or 1.5 crore degree Celsius. The time taken by the light of the sun to reach the earth is 8 minutes and 16.6 seconds. This is very important question. Many a time it has been asked in various multiple choice questions. The time taken by the light of the sun to reach the earth is approximately 8 minutes and 17 seconds, or to be precise, 8 minutes and 16.6 seconds. Then what is the cosmic year? The time taken by the sun to move around its center in the galaxy. So एक बार में sun galaxy में कैसे move करता है, that takes 1 cosmic year. And as per the earth year, it is 250 million years. So it is equivalent to 250 million years. That is the time taken by the sun to move around its center in the galaxy. Ab sun is such a powerful star. So where does all this energy come from? Now we know that it has 99% of the mass of the solar system, but where does all this energy come from? So the source of energy is believed to be nuclear fusion reaction. So in nuclear fusion reaction, the atoms combine together to produce energy, which is opposite to the nuclear fission reaction in which the atoms explode. So in nuclear fusion, the atoms actually combine to produce energy. So here hydrogen nuclei fuse to form helium nucleus, thus releasing energy in the form of heat and light. So this is the mechanism of nuclear fusion, where hydrogen nuclei fuse to form helium. So this is the process through which sun produces energy. So this is very important. You can get asked this question, that what is the source of energy in the sun? The source of energy in the sun is nuclear fusion. And how does nuclear fusion work? When hydrogen nuclei fuse to form helium nucleus. And in this process, a lot of energy in the form of heat and light is produced. So this is a diagram of the sun. And as you can see, the innermost layer is known as the photosphere. The middle layer is known as the chromosphere. And the outer layer is known as corona. So this line here depicts the diameter of the sun, which is 109 times that of the earth. So you can imagine the size of the sun in comparison with planet earth. So the diameter of the sun is 109 times that of the earth. And these are the 3 layers. So the photosphere is the innermost layer. It is actually the glowing surface of the sun. So जो part हमें earth से visible है, that is actually the photosphere. और ये सबसे अंदर वाली layer है sun की. Then there is chromosphere. Chromosphere is above the photosphere. और इसको photosphere इसलिए कहते हैं क्योंकि इसकी surface जो है वो red होती है. So photosphere means that this is actually the layer that gives color to the sun. And here the temperature is around 32,000 degrees Celsius. Then the outermost layer is corona, और ये रिंग शेप में हॉलो होता है, और ये जनरली तब हमें दिखाई देता है जब भी एक्लिप्स लगता है, जब भी ग्रहण लगता है, तब हम इस लेयर को देख सकते हैं. Then there is chromosphere. So these are the three layers, and in corona the temperature is the highest, that is around 2700,000 degrees Celsius or 27 lakh degrees Celsius. Then what is solar maximum? So after every 9 or 11 years there is a cycle where sun approaches a solar maximum. Solar maximum hota hai when the energy in the sun reaches a point where there are frequent sunspots and sun flares. So sunspots and sun flares are when there are storms on the sun and the energy is overshooted by various types of storms. So there are sun flares and there are sun storms, which we call solar maximum. But ये हर साल नहीं होता है. It is a cycle that repeats itself after every 10 or 11 years. Now, after studying the solar system, about the sun and about the stars, now let us see something about the planets. So there are 8 planets in the solar system, 8 planets हैं. And in order of their distance from the sun, they are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So these are the 8 planets. Earlier there was a planet known as Pluto, which was the 9th planet, but according to the International Astronomers Union, it did not satisfy the criteria laid down for the planet. Therefore, it was excluded from the list of planets. So it is no longer a planet, leaving only 8 planets as the planets that satisfy that criteria. So जो पहले 4 planets हैं, that is the Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, they are known as the inner terrestrial or rocky planets. वो इसलिए because they have a rocky surface and they are comparatively smaller in size and are closer to the sun. So जो ये 8 planets हैं, इन्हें हम broadly 2 categories में बांट सकते हैं, the inner planets and the outer planets. The inner planets are these 4 planets and the outer planets are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. और इन चारों planets को gaseous और Jovian planets भी कह सकते हैं because they are gaseous in structure and they are comparatively larger in size. So there are 3 points of distinction between the inner planets and the outer planets. So the inner planets are smaller in size, whereas the outer planets are larger in size. Then the inner planets mostly have a rocky surface, whereas the outer planets are mostly gaseous in nature. Then the third distinction is that the inner planets are closer to the sun, whereas the outer planets are farther from the sun. These are the 3 fine distinctions between inner and outer planets. So let us start with the first planet, which is Mercury. So Mercury is the nearest planet to the sun, and it is the smallest planet of the solar system. So before Mercury, Pluto used to be the smallest planet of the solar system, पर अब Mercury जो है ये सबसे छोटा planet है solar system का. ये अपना एक revolution जो है sun के around वो 88 days में complete करता है. It has no atmosphere and it has no satellite. So that is why there is no life on planet Mercury. The days on Mercury are scorching hot and nights are frigid. So scorching hot means बहुत ही ज़्यादा गर्म दिन होते हैं Mercury पे, और जो nights जो है वो frigid होती हैं. Frigid means extremely cold. So because of the absence of atmosphere, number 1, and second, because of scorching heat during days and extreme cold during nights, life is not possible here. Besides that, the absence of water is another reason. That is why it is not conducive to life. The second planet is Venus. So इसका जो size और shape है, they are very much similar to that of the Earth, and that is why this planet is known as Earth's twin. Very important. Which planet is known as Earth's twin? It is Venus. Then it is also called the morning star and the evening star. इसको मॉर्निंग स्टार और इवनिंग स्टार कहने का जो रीजन है वो ये है कि कई बार ये प्लैनेट अर्थ से विजिबल होता है ड्यूरिंग मॉर्निंग्स और ड्यूरिंग द इवनिंग्स. Its atmosphere, so it has an atmosphere. Its atmosphere consists of 90 to 95% of carbon dioxide gas. So it has an atmosphere. तो इन दोनों में जो बेसिक डिफरेंस है वो ये है. पहला तो it does not have an atmosphere, but it has an atmosphere. And in its atmosphere, around 90 to 95% of the gas is the carbon dioxide. Then it is the hottest planet of solar system. Now this is a very strange fact कि जो सबसे नजदीक planet है sun से, that is Mercury, but the hottest planet is Venus. And the reason for that is because it has an atmosphere. So because of an atmosphere, it is able to tap the heat of the insolation or the incoming solar radiation. Whereas on Mercury, since there is no atmosphere, the incoming solar radiation does not get trapped into the atmosphere. Whereas in Venus, because there is an atmosphere, the incoming solar radiation gets trapped and makes it the hottest planet on solar system. और यहाँ पे दिन और रात का टेम्परेचर जो है वो मोस्टली सेम रहता है because there is atmosphere and because 95% of there is carbon dioxide, which is a heat trapping gas. So it traps all the heat and the day and night temperature remain the same. और मरकरी की ही तरह वीनस का भी कोई सैटेलाइट नहीं है. So this is a very important fact that you should remember, that the hottest planet of the solar system is actually Venus. So you should not fall into the impression that since Mercury is the nearest planet to the sun, it would be the hottest. Actually, it is the Venus which is the hottest planet. Next, there is Earth. So we know a plenty about Earth. It is also known as blue planet because around 70% of surface of the Earth is covered with water. So one of the biggest reasons for life to exist on Earth is water. And this is the only planet in solar system to sustain life. Then the fourth planet is Mars. So Mars is marked with dormant volcanoes. Dormant means inactive or sleeping volcanoes. That means they can get erupted anytime, but for now they are dormant volcanoes. And deep chasms where once water flowed. So now no longer water is there, but there was a time when water was there and it flowed, thereby creating deep chasm over the planet. इसका जो एटमॉस्फेयर है वो बहुत ही ज्यादा थिन है और मेजर गैसेस आर नाइट्रोजन एंड आर्गन. सो देयर इज the largest gases are nitrogen and argon, whereas on Venus the most abundant gas was carbon dioxide. इस planet को red planet भी कहते हैं because it is covered with pink soil and boulders. So boulders are stones. So since it is covered with pink soil and boulders, it is known as red planet. And it has two major satellites, very important. One is the Phobos and other is Deimos. So Earth has one satellite, which is Moon. And Mars has two satellites, Phobos and Deimos. Then the fifth planet is Jupiter. So till Mars, we have covered inner planets. So these are rocky planets and they are smaller in size. Now, the outer planets begin from Jupiter. और यहाँ से जो planets हैं, they are larger in size and they are gaseous in nature, in composition. So Jupiter is the largest planet of the solar system. और इसके atmosphere में जो gases हैं, they are abundant. There is abundance of hydrogen, helium, methane and ammonia gases. इसके 62 satellites हैं. So many number of satellites is there. और जो biggest satellites हैं, they are Callisto, Europa and Ganymede. So Jupiter is the largest planet of the solar system and it has 62 satellites. The sixth planet is the Saturn. and it is the second largest planet of the solar system after Jupiter. So this is that planet जिसके आसपास, जिसके इर्द गिर्द एक रिंग बना हुआ है बहुत बड़ा. So there is a celebrated ring composed of thousands of rippling, spiraling bands of icy rock and dust, just 200 feet thick and 270,000 kilometers in diameter. So there is a huge ring that encompasses this planet. Then the seventh planet is Uranus. The axis of rotation is sideways, nearly into the plane of its revolution about the sun. Its north and south poles lie where most other planets have their equators. So इसके जो magnetic north और south हैं, वो उस जगह पे हैं जहाँ पे mostly other planets के equators हैं. This is a strange fact about Uranus. And there are 9 dark compact rings around the planet. It has 15 satellites, among which major are Ariel, Ambriel, Titania, and Miranda. So it has 15 natural satellites. And it also has an atmosphere, जिसमें सबसे major gas जो है वो hydrogen है. And then the last planet is Neptune, जिसके sides में 5 rings मिलते हैं हमें. And its outer ring is composed of icy moonlets, and inner ring is narrow and solid. So now, since this planet is farthest from the sun, its atmosphere is very extremely cold. So its outer ring is composed of icy moonlets. It has 8 satellites. Titan and Merid are its major satellites. And its atmosphere consists of hydrocarbon compounds. It appears to be blue with quickly changing white icy ethane clouds, often suspended high above an apparent surface. So these are the compositions and features of 8 planets. So the most important facts that you have to remember are the composition of these planets, that is the gases that are found in most abundance on these planets, then the largest planet, the smallest planet, the planet which is the hottest, the planet which is the coldest one, the planet that sustains life, and the composition of the planets, that is whether they are rocky or gaseous, and the number of satellites that each planet has. So these are the factual points that you need to understand and remember. Then other than stars and planets, there are certain other types of materials revolving in the universe or in the solar system, to be specific. So among those, the first ones are asteroids. So what are asteroids? इन्हें हम minor planets भी कहते हैं. So there are numerous rocky bodies which orbit the sun in a belt between inner and outer planets, between Mars and Jupiter. So we did a distinction between inner planets and outer planets. And between those inner and outer planets, that is, the last inner planet हमारा था Mars और पहला outer planet था Jupiter. So इसके बीच में एक belt मिलती है, and that is known as the asteroid belt. So for example, there is Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Then there is Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So these are the inner planets, and these are the outer planets. So in between, there is a belt called the asteroid belt. So in this asteroid belt, millions of asteroids are found, and these are rocky bodies. The largest asteroid is Ceres, और भी बहुत सारे इसके examples हैं, जैसे कि Vesta, Pallas, Hypatia, and Euphrosyne. So this is the asteroid belt. What you have to remember is where is the asteroid belt found and what is the composition of asteroids. So they are rocky. Then there are comets. Comets को hairy stars भी कहते हैं, and they are the chunks of ice or frozen gas and rock particles and the remnants left over from the birth of solar system. So when the solar system was formed, As we discussed, the most prominent theory is the Big Bang theory. So at the origin of the solar system, there were a lot of matter that was freely suspended into the universe, and that is what we called comet. तो comets generally ice से, frozen gases से, rock particles से बने होते हैं. So comets में क्या होता है? It consists of a head, that is the nucleus of a comet or the main part of a comet. Then there is coma, that is the hazy cloud surrounding the head. And then there is a tail, which is always positioned away from the sun. So जो comets हैं, ये कई साल बाद हमें देखने को मिलते हैं अर्थ से, and these can pose a real threat to our planet, क्योंकि ये बहुत तेजी से यूनिवर्स में ट्रैवल कर रहे हैं, और कुछ कॉमेट्स जो हैं ये अर्थ के काफी पास से भी गुजरे हैं पिछले कई सालों में. So some such comets in the future may pose a real threat to the planet Earth. So जो comets हैं इनकी अपनी कोई लाइट नहीं होती है, they have no light of its own. तो सनलाइट जो है वो रिफ्लेक्ट करती है डस्ट पार्टिकल्स के ऊपर से, जिसकी वजह से ये शाइन करते हैं. जो टेल मॉलिक्यूल्स हैं, they are blown away from the comet by action of solar wind, and hence the tail is always in the direction away from the direction of the sun. So these are some important facts about comets. There is a very famous comet called the Halley comet, which was seen in 1986. So this was the last prominent comet, और ये अर्थ के काफी पास से गुजरा था, and it posed a threat to the planet. Then in the end there are meteoroids. So meteoroids are smaller objects, basically the remains of shattered asteroids and dust from comets. So meteoroids are nothing but जो asteroids जो टूटकर बिखर जाते हैं, और जो comets की dust है, ये जब sun के around orbit करती है, they are what we call meteoroids. And when they come near the earth and tend to drop upon it, during this process, due to friction within the air, they get heated up and burn. तो जब भी ये धरती पर गिरने लगते हैं, because of the atmosphere, they get burned and they do not reach the earth generally. Most of the meteors which are small burn up as they encounter Earth's atmosphere. So that's when they are called meteors. So there's a very fine distinction between meteoroid and meteor. So a meteoroid, when enters the atmosphere of the Earth, is known as meteor. स्पेस में भी ये बहुत तेज स्पीड से ट्रैवल करते हैं, और जब ये अर्थ के एटमॉस्फेयर में एंटर करते हैं, they become luminous due to friction. Luminous means they start burning and they produce light. So luminous means they produce light, and that is why they are known as luminous. So they are visible as a flashing streak of light in the night sky and are commonly known as shooting stars. तो जिन्हें हम टूटता हुआ तारा कहते हैं, they are actually meteors. So when they enter the atmosphere of the earth, they start burning, and since they are at a very high speed, they look like a blitzkrieg. So meteor shower बोलते हैं जब इस तरह के बहुत सारे meteors एक साथ देखने को मिलते हैं, और जो कुछ बहुत बड़े होते हैं, they reach the ground also, but this is a very rare phenomenon. और जो stony meteorites हैं, उनको हम कई categories में divide कर सकते हैं, जैसे chondrites, achondrites, iron meteorites. So ये जो classification है, this is based on the composition of those meteorites. That what are they made of? Finally, we have moon. So as we discussed, the third planet, that is planet Earth, it has only one natural satellite, that is moon. So moon is Earth's natural satellite, and moon revolves around the Earth in about 27 days. So moon is orbiting around the Earth, and it takes around 27 days for it to complete one rotation. So there is a strange fact that why the same face of the moon is visible, from the Earth always. और उसका रीजन है एक स्ट्रेंज कोइंसिडेंस. वो कोइंसिडेंस ये है कि मून का रोटेशन पीरियड और रेवोल्यूशन पीरियड दोनों सेम है. फॉर एग्जांपल, if this is moon, so it rotates on its own axis. It is rotating on its own axis, but it is also revolving around the earth. So if this is earth, it is also revolving around the earth. So this rotation period as well as this revolution period, both are the same. That is why we see the same face of the moon always. So this is a very strange coincidence, but that is the reason that only one side is visible. The rise and fall of tides on the earth is caused by the moon, जिसे हम ज्वार भाटा भी कहते हैं. So the ebb and flow, or rise and fall of the ocean level on the planet is caused by the distance of the moon. So when moon comes closer to the earth, because of the gravitational pull of the moon, the surface of the ocean water rises and falls. This is one of the phenomena. And moon does not have any atmosphere. And the first spacecraft to reach the moon was Luna 1 in 1959. However, the first spacecraft to land on moon, and which was a manned spacecraft, was Apollo 11. And it was in the year 1959. And the most famous person who became the first human being to walk on the planet moon is Neil Armstrong. So with this, we have done our universe and solar system in brief. So if you have any question, you can ask me in the chat section. So thank you everyone for watching this. Today we covered universe and solar system in brief. आप लोग कोशिश कीजिए कि आपको conceptual clarity अच्छे से हो जाए, because the questions that are asked in CDS are conceptual as well as factual in nature. So you should try to revise whatever we are doing every day so that it can stick in your mind and you are able to correct the questions. So thank you everyone